You could make better motion design work right now by learning how to steal like a motion designer. So this video is going to focus on what you can do to improve your ideas as well as your visual execution of those ideas. I believe it goes without saying that we all want to create better motion design work, and a big driver of that is the work we see by professional studios and animators who are making work that boggles our minds. Work like this, for example. And the big problem here is that we have no insight into how they arrived at this point. Their process is shrouded in mystery, but I'm about to blow the lid off this whole thing with one word: theft. So how do you steal like a motion designer? Well, you learn how to get away with theft. And if this idea seems too radical to you, then it may be time to read this book, Steal Like an Artist by Austin and Cleon, but don't worry, we're going to cover some of the concepts in this book and apply them to motion design. One of the core concepts in this book is that nothing is original. It's all a collection of references recombined into something new. Let's apply this concept to generating ideas for motion design, so let's create a motion design project, and my favorite tool for this is Millernote, who've sponsored this video. Millernote is a tool for organizing your creative projects, and it makes starting a project really easy with all the built-in templates, and just look how many templates there are, from motion design projects, mood boards, storyboarding, brainstorming, and so many more. I use Millernote for all of my work, whether it's client work or just personal projects, and I cannot recommend it enough. Let's start with their motion design project template. I adapted their template to create this, and we're going to start with the mood board. This is a critical step, and if you've ever wondered why it's important, it's because it's our first opportunity to find a bunch of ideas to steal. The process of searching for inspiration and finding animation that you really like can be a great way to spark your own ideas. In my personal experience, I can't pull awesome ideas out of thin air. There is always a trigger, and that can be an animation, illustration, or even a word. So if you want to assist your brain in coming up with ideas, you need to give it something to chew on. And that's the function of the mood board at this stage. That brings us to another concept from the book: garbage in, garbage out. This is about the quality of your references. If you're looking at crap animations, you'll create crap animation. According to Cleon, your job is to collect good ideas. So it's important to find high quality source material, and collecting good references over time should be a part of your creative journey. Instead of following a bunch of thirst traps on Instagram and letting yourself be funneled into paying a monthly OnlyFans subscription, start following good motion designers. And when you come across really inspiring work, save that shit for later use. Here are a bunch of other places you can find good references. I also want to encourage you to look beyond the motion design industry for inspiration. Lean into your interests and your personal tastes. The TV shows you like, the animated movies you like, architecture, calligraphy, sculpture, music, or whatever else gets you going. I get very inspired by Japanese motifs, anime, cartoons, and sci-fi shit, and I've learned to double down on that. If your references are more diverse and unexpected, you'll likely create more interesting and complex results. You can see in my smear frame references board that a lot of the images are from cartoons I've watched and like. But now let's get into the nitty-gritty of how to practically apply this concept of stealing. So let's take a look at this character I created for a silly animation a while back. I mean, just look at how sexy that smear frame is. Oh, whoopsie. Here's the mood board I created to help me figure out the character design. And I collected these from all over: Instagram, Pinterest, and even directly from Joe Sparrow's website. And Millernote makes gathering these so easy with its dope extension that allows you to grab images from anywhere. Putting all of this together by downloading the images is clunky and time consuming. Not to mention that sites like Instagram don't allow you to download images. But with the extension, you can just hit the save button that appears and add the image to any board. Then you can just drag it onto that board, like magic. It also works on Pinterest, Dribbble, Designspiration, or literally any website, so you can use it to collect a diverse range of inspiration from anywhere you can think of. Not only that, Millernote is great for client work because it allows you to present your pre-production stages in a highly professional way and receive client feedback. It's easy to share your boards by creating read-only links, allowing your client to make comments directly. As a freelancer, you can really set yourself apart by using Millernote with your clients to appear professional and trustworthy. As you can see, I even use Millernote for personal work because it is my favorite tool for collecting references and problem solving my ideas and animation. But don't take my word for it, give Millernote a go for your next project and experience it yourself by clicking on the link in the description. Now, how do you properly steal from your references? There's a right way and a wrong way. The wrong way is to look at one reference, copy it, and try and pass it off as your own. The right way is to look at multiple references and steal parts from all of them, like Frankenstein's monster, and that way, no one will ever know. Look at my character, for example. At first glance, it may not look like I've stolen from my references, but if you look at some of the details, you can start to see what I mean by combining your references. So if we look at the shoes and ankles, I took inspiration from this character. The leg design draws inspiration from this character, the hands from this reference, and even the hair has a link to this illustration. So perhaps the type of stealing we're talking about is starting to become clearer. And this image from Cleon's book explains it well, so take a squiz at that for a little bit. If you start with really high quality references and transform parts of those to create something new, you'll get something much better than if you just went with what's in your head. And if you think that professionals are not stealing this way and what's in their heads is just better than yours, you're definitely wrong. Now let's talk about style development. This is an important part of the motion design process, and once again, using references is the best way to create something new. But first, if this has been interesting so far, give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Now of course, style already comes into play when you're sketching because it's also about shape language, so using and combining references when sketching is really important. In the case of my character, I created these 3 sketches, which also act as a bit of a storyboard for the animation, and as you already know from the previous section, I combined elements from my mood board to arrive at this design. Also, when I created the smear frame sketch in the middle, I was looking at my collection of smear frames on this board. There were a whole bunch of smear frames for heads, so I had a lot of good source material. I really enjoyed the elongated eye effect you can see in a few of these examples, but I also like the repetition of the eyes and heads in some of the others. And if you look at my sketch, you can see that instead of just copying one of these types, I decided to combine both to create a more unique smear frame. Now let's get into the illustration, and you can see the final style versions below the sketches on this board, but let's jump into Adobe Illustrator so we can take a look at how I arrived at this point. So in Illustrator, you can see I brought in some of the illustrations from my mood board that I wanted to reference directly. I already knew I wanted a stroke outline for the character, so I brought in references that included that, and I went with a hard black outline with a medium thickness like in this reference. I even used these 2 references to create the final color palette, so instead of just stealing one of the color palettes, I took color cues from both of them and then adapted the final palette to my taste. The result is something new and obviously different from the sources. But I want to take this a bit further with you right now to drive my point home. So let's duplicate this illustration and bring in these 3 references. Now I'm going to use these references to create something new. And voila, here is another version where I pulled the darker pants from this reference along with the motivated rim light and then the gradient aesthetic from this reference, and the result is distinctly different from the first version. And I got there by combining and adapting references. So at this point, I hope you understand how to make better work by stealing like a motion designer. So for your next project, I highly recommend using Milanote to create an absolutely mind-blowing mood board that allows you to steal effectively to come up with better ideas and styles. Use it to speed up your workflow and let the creative juices flow faster and easier. Milanote is available for free with no time limit. Sign up using the link in the description and start your next creative project. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe for more Motion XP.